Think about it for a moment. The money in your pocket is actually just a piece of paper with no real practical use. You can't eat it, you can't drink it, and you can't build a shelter with it. Yet people all over the world chase after it like horses in a race. So why do people trust this piece of paper so much? And more importantly, how did money even come into existence? Today, I'm taking you on a long journey, from primitive humans trading goods to king's gold, paper money, and finally, Bitcoin. Before money existed, people relied entirely on barter. I had flour, you had a sheep, and if we both needed what the other had, we made a trade. But this system had a major flaw: the double coincidence of wants. I might want your sheep, but if you didn't want my flour, the trade simply couldn't happen. There was also the problem of value. How many axes was one sheep worth? Could you trade half a sheep? There was no real way to make precise mathematical divisions. Barter worked in small settlements, but as populations grew and trade expanded, the system began to collapse. Humanity needed a more practical solution, something everyone would accept. That search led to the first money-like objects. People began using items that were rare, durable, and widely considered valuable. Seashells, salt, tea, tobacco, rice, and even massive stone discs. On the island of Yap in the Pacific, money weighed several tons. No one carried these stones in their pockets. Ownership was simply known and accepted by the community. In other words, money was less about the physical object and more about collective belief. If everyone agreed something was valuable, it could function as money. But these objects were still difficult to transport, hard to divide, and impractical for growing trade networks. That's when metal entered the picture. In the 7th century BCE, the Lydians minted the first known metal coins in history. Made from electrum, a natural mixture of gold and silver, these coins had standardized weights and carried the seal of the state. It was a revolution. Money was now portable, divisible, and, most importantly, guaranteed by an authority. But at the same time, something critical happened. Money became intertwined with state power. This connection created immense wealth, but it also opened the door to major disasters. The Roman Empire is one of the best examples of this. To finance its wars, Rome reduced the silver content in its coins. The same coins remained in circulation, but their real value declined. The result was inflation, loss of trust, and economic collapse. People began to understand a crucial truth. Money wasn't just metal, it was trust. And when a state lost that trust, its money lost value as well. This lesson would repeat itself many times throughout history. As trade expanded and empires grew, metal coins became insufficient. This led to the rise of paper money. It was first used in China, but people were deeply skeptical at first. "It's just paper," they said. The power of paper money came from the promise behind it. The state declared, "Bring this back, and you will receive its value." At first, it worked. Then the same mistake happened again. Governments printed too much money. Inflation returned. Still, there was no turning back. Paper money became the foundation of the modern economic system. For many years, countries tied their currencies to gold. Under the gold standard, every banknote had a physical counterpart stored in reserves. This system inspired confidence. But wars broke out, major crises occurred, and gold was no longer enough. In 1971, the United States completely abandoned the gold standard. From that moment on, money was no longer backed by a physical asset. It became almost entirely based on trust. Then came the 2008 financial crisis. Banks collapsed, people lost their savings, and faith in the system was shaken. In this environment, a mysterious figure appeared, Satoshi Nakamoto. He introduced a new idea called Bitcoin. No state, no banks, just mathematics, cryptography, and code. For the first time in history, Bitcoin proposed placing trust not in institutions, but in the system itself. Like every new form of money before it, it was initially dismissed. But those who understood monetary history recognized something familiar. This was a new version of a cycle humanity had repeated many times before. Money is not gold, not paper, and not digital code. Money is a shared belief. It began with barter, gained strength through metal, became abstract with paper, and went digital with Bitcoin. So what comes next? Central bank digital currencies? A completely cashless world? Or will we, at some point in history, return to the beginning once again? That is the greatest question in the history of money.